Welcome back to Ask Uncle Lee, and as always, if you have any questions, anything you would like a different perspective on, a different take on, somebody else's opinion, just put it in the comments to any of the Ask Uncle Lee videos, and I will add it to the list. Alright, so let's get into the questions for this week. Join me over on Patreon, where you will find all of my books, services, and courses in the shop, blog posts, and the various tiers which you can explore. You can get magical training in the Temple of the Horned Serpent First Degree, and joining as a free member gets you started with that, or explore the Magical Journal and the Egregore Project. Hope to see you there. The first question is from Cthulhu 1978 I think that's L6L. You know who you are, you'll be tagged. Alright, so Baphomet, Pan, Leshy, are they the same entity? Edit? I guess, I don't know, not sure. Anyway, let's carry on. Not the same entity per se, maybe same family. I've heard Baphomet and Pan being the same deity, but I don't believe this about Cernunnos. What's your thought on Baphomet and Pan being the same? I actually personally do equate Baphomet and Pan as being the same. And for me personally, and I don't know if this extends to other people, it may do, they may have made the same association. Pan, now the name is Greek, comes from the Greek word pa or pan, depending on how far back you go. And this is actually something that was in Jason Mankey's book, Horned God of the Witches. I think that's what it was called. I did recommend it a few weeks back when I was talking about this specifically. It's actually something that was mentioned in there. It's something I wasn't aware of until I read the book. And I found it very interesting, is that in our modern interpretation of the word pan, we interpret it or translate it as being all. Previously, and I mean, when I say previously, I think it started being translated as all, like in Victorian times, maybe even Renaissance, before, a long time ago. So, it's not like last year or anything like that. But before that, it originated from the word pa, which meant shepherd, which is why Pan is associated with shepherds and not just wild and animals and panic and all of those things, frenzy. But that's where my understanding was that, and still is, it is a modern interpretation or translation of the word pan, meaning all. And when we look at Baphomet is all, the pangenitor, the aspect which combines all things, takes all of the polarities and dualities and pulls it into one body. So unites all things, the masculine and the feminine, into one body. It pulls the various animals. It's got the wings from the bird. It's got scales from the reptile, or it could be fish. It's got the goat aspects. It's got the human aspect. So all of these aspects of animals and fish and birds and everything else have been incorporated. There's basically the symbolism just pulls all things together and brings it into union, and that's always what I saw Pan as being. Now, I had a very early introduction to Pan before most other deities. I didn't really come or touch on Baphomet until quite later, actually. So when I came across Baphomet, I saw the same symbolism that I was seeing in Pan, and therefore, for me, Baphomet became Pan, or Pan became Baphomet, whichever way you want to look at it. And that's that interpretation. Now, would I consider Cernunnos to be the same as Baphomet? No, probably not. I don't consider Cernunnos to be the same as Pan. Some people do, because they may be soft polytheistic, which means that they are probably going to see all horned gods as being the same god. Okay, that's soft polytheism. I'm somewhere between. Every now and again, I'll come across two entities that they're just, when I work with them, they're just so similar that I can't even separate them myself. So they do tend to meld together and become the same god or goddess. Yeah, I think it's coming up in. Let me just check the next question quickly. I think there was a question coming up that spoke about me referring to the mold or the archetype, maybe in a future one. So we're going to talk about it now as well. So I did mention this previously, that when we talk about the horn gods, we can consider them coming from the same archetype or the same mold, which means that you may have gotten. It's a bit like if you consider humans, all human beings, we all, every single one of us, look completely different. Yet we are humanoid. We have 2 arms, 2 legs. We have a nose, ears. We have a humanoid figure, and therefore we can consider ourselves to be human. And what we can then think of is this mold, this archetype that all humans came from, all humans originate from. It doesn't mean that it's very specific or has definite features, but it's a humanoid figure. Okay, then what comes out of that mold starts to develop, starts to create characteristics, physical appearances, and things like that, and each one splits off and they become slightly different from each other. But we are still, you and me are still different. We're not the same human, we're not the same being, but we're still connected. We are human, we are also part of this entire cosmos. The whole energy flows through all things and connects all things, so we are all things. But we are still different. We are individuals, we are independent. Independent members of a team all work together to create an outcome, but they are all independent members of the team. So we are independent humans, and we look different, we talk different, we sound different, we smell different, all of this stuff. But we came out of this mold, which was humanoid. So when you look at the horn gods, for instance, they all came out of this mold, which was horn god. But they started to progress, change, differ. They got their own characteristics, their own personalities, and they became different. Okay, but Baphomet, coming back to there is the speculation that it has a longer history. Not sure how much has been proven up to this point. I haven't checked on archaeology and things like that in quite a while regarding this, but the iconography of Baphomet comes from this aspect of having all of these, bringing all these opposites and all these opposite things into union. The negative, positive, the masculine, feminine, the light, the dark, etc., etc., comes from Eliphas Levi, and it was his. I would say it was his attempt at creating this icon, this representation of uniting opposites, and I think he did a brilliant job on it. So yes, I mean, the Baphomet can be worshipped as an individual entity, but in my regard, it is Pan. Okay, same thing. But again, that comes down to personal interpretation. All right, so I'm going to go to the next question, also from Cthulhu. While I'm at it, asking questions, people like H.P. Lovecraft, with such a great imagination for storytelling, must have picked it up from somewhere. Do you think there are entities that could exist in dimensions like Cthulhu? Yeah, absolutely. This comes down to, if you can imagine it, it becomes real. But most, as far as I know, most of Lovecraft's storytelling and imagery came from his dreams. I think he also had a difficult time with his mother, who was very ill. So there was a lot of symbolism that came into play there. Anyway, I'll have to go and check history again, but a lot of it came from his dreams, and this is what he dreamt of. He dreamt of this world where these monsters were, these monsters were gods. They were these powerful primordial beings. Does it exist? Absolutely. Why not? If I can go to my astral temple, which I created, does that exist? Absolutely. I've had experiences in my own astral temple that completely and utterly validate that. So yes, it's a real experience. So why not? These were part of his dreams. He probably visited there during his dreams. I don't know. Can't really say for sure, but yes, they do. And a lot of people have worked with the Cthulhu mythos, the Necronomicon, etc., etc. Donald Tyson, I think, is probably one of the best people to go and explore there in regards to the Necronomicon and the Cthulhu mythos. He really did do a lot of work, magical work, in regards to this, and ritual work. So, go and have a look for Donald Tyson, and explore it. Why not? It's not something I've really been very interested in myself, so I haven't really explored it too much, but yeah, it's interesting. It's fun it's a fun rabbit hole to go down, at least. All right. So, next one. From Carbon Black. You mentioned in this video that Cernunnos and Pan share a common mold or archetype. Oh, there we go. It was this question, if you will. Right. So I've probably answered this question already. Hang on. I had a similar thought about Cernunnos and King Belial. Belial is a king, and is said to represent earth and nature in demonology, and Cernunnos represents nature, vitality, and wealth status in Celtic traditions. What if these were actually the same spirit filtering through different cultural lenses? What are your thoughts on this? Thank you for your time and consideration. All right, so this you would probably have to go and firstly explore Belial from different contexts, and then explore Belial from your own context. So I know we associate Belial with as being the elemental king of earth. That's within modern demonology. Prior to that, he wouldn't have been considered as the elemental king of earth. Okay, this starts to form the idea of the watchtowers, which then associates Belial with Archangel Uriel, with King Gob, etc., from different traditions. But that's only as the aspect of the elemental king. There's a lot more to Belial than just being the elemental king, and depending on what association you arrive at in that regard, that's going to determine the answer to this particular question. Would I consider King Belial to be one of the horn gods? No, I wouldn't. I would consider him to be one of the forge gods, because my association with Belial may be different to yours. I see him in that aspect of the earth element, and as similar to Azazel, and to Tubal-Cain, as being that forge god, deep in the earth, deep down in the cavernous earth, where he is forging life on his anvil. That's my association, but that's going to be different to yours and probably other people's. So would he come out of both molds? Yeah, probably. There's no. We have to come back to the understanding that there's no definite answers. There's no absolute truth here. We can talk about these archetypes and these common molds. It's just an ideology, an idea, to try and explain something. It's not this there was at some point in history this mold that just suddenly appeared or was created, which all of these horned gods came out of. It's just it's an idea. It's a way of understanding things, a way of explaining things. So we come back to the idea that they are different, yes, but they are all horned gods because they came from the same archetype, and therefore, they progressed into different regions of the world, into different cultures, and they became different entities, different beings because of the interpretations those cultures gave them. So could King Belial have come from the same archetype as the horn gods? Yes. Could he have come from the same archetype as the forge gods? Yes. Are the horn gods and the forge gods the same? Yes. Coming back to the devil, the idea of the devil, the folkloric devil again. The devil is really an incorporation of all of the old folkloric representations, ideas of the god, the horn god, and all such things. The forge gods also falls into that arena as this idea of the folkloric devil. So it's it's just the god really. So it's fuzzy lines. I'm going to make that I'm going to make a t-shirt that just says fuzzy lines. That's really it. Okay. I think that was it for this week. Let me just double check. Yes, that was it for this week. Alright, so thank you for watching. I will be back next week with more. Have a good one until then. Cheerio. Bye-bye.